Hello and welcome back. I am Margaret Esfahani and I am here with Sister Shireen with the Brahma Kumaris. Welcome, Shireen.
Hi, Margaret.
How are you?
Fabulous.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. Magnificent.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Shireen is here to showcase another warm-up that we can do at any given time, anywhere. Simple, easy, that will help us as we begin, to dive into other exercises. So today, Shireen, which warm-up exercise would you like to share?
The warm-up I'm thinking about is how we should stop tyrannizing our own mind.
Okay.
In certain parts of the world, they don't have access to information.
Mm-hmm.
Or other basic human rights.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. They don't have freedoms.
They don't have certain freedoms. And that is physically they're limited.
Yes.
Right? But I feel every day, each of us are also limiting our own internal mental movement, mental freedom.
Okay.
So each of us are, like how they're dictators and they are really imposing their will on people and they don't have any say-so what they think and stuff. There's a lot of propaganda going on. In the same way, we become our own dictators of our own mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we become dictators of our own mind is we continue to think the same negative thoughts again and again and again and again every day.
Right.
So let's say, I'll give you an example. People think I don't, nothing, I live in this bubble and nothing negative happens to me.
Okay.
Like you live in the center. What could possibly go wrong?
Right. It's just so peaceful there and perfect.
Right. I have to work like everyone else because whatever annoys people in a regular basis, like let's say if someone you're living with consistently leaves the lights and fans on.
Yes.
Right? And you tell them 10 times, 20 times, and then after a while, even you start losing your patience.
Right.
But what happens is even before you lose your patience, right? You told someone 25 times, do not leave that fan on. Could you please switch that fan off before you leave, right? And they forget it. For the 100th time, they've forgotten. So one thing that happens is your mind starts, the same negative thought pattern starts. And many times I think these situations are so I can see what my thought pattern is. Am I thinking the same negative things? Because especially if it's happened 100 times, you have a set response or a set reaction to something.
Right. And maybe even more so, you feel justified that it's okay that I think negative because this continues to happen.
Exactly. But what I'm doing at that point, I'm really tyrannizing my own mind by this negative thought pattern. I tell myself all the time, their actions need not elicit a negative thought pattern in me.
You're right.
It's their action. Why am I thinking negative?
Right.
Right? It's their responsibility, their thing. I cannot think negative.
Right. But yet you did say something that's really important is that even though you cannot control their behaviors, you are controlling your mind. And so you are telling yourself the negative thoughts about that situation.
Right.
And so how do we stop that? Being the dictator of our own mind.
Yeah, dictators of our own mind, because every time we think negative, we are really dictating, we are really imposing kind of a very negative rule over our mind.
Yes.
And so the way to do this is very simple. And I call this freedom from thought exercise.
Okay.
From thought, freedom of thoughts, not freedom from thoughts, freedom of thoughts.
Okay, so freedom of thoughts.
Right.
Okay.
Because one thing I have to, the first step in this exercise is I have to accept I have a choice. In any given situation, someone come and punches me 10 times, someone leaves the fan on 200 times.
Yes.
I have, they have, just like they choose to leave the fan on,
Right.
I can choose my thoughts in that situation.
Right.
And I can choose between positive or negative.
Right. So the first thing is you have control over your decision.
Yes, yes. I
How?
have complete
Decision making.
autonomy over my thinking,
Okay.
right? I cannot say they did that, so I'm going to think negative.
Exactly.
Because I decide to think negative. Whatever they did, I decided to think negative.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay.
And so what I could do is not engage in this tit for tat negative behavior. I need not engage in that. And especially so the first step is understanding and acknowledging that I have control over what I think. I can choose. I can choose between positive thoughts and negative thoughts.
Right. And that's really tough because instinctively, when one feels justified in holding on to the anger or holding on to frustration, it is, again, I really like the way you put it. It's almost that our mind is being a dictator to ourself and saying, you must think negative now. You don't have a choice. And I can say to myself, wait a minute, stop. I have a choice.
I have a choice.
I have a
do not
choice.
need to think negative at this point.
Excellent, excellent. Shireen, please guide us a little bit clearer. Help me because I'm a culprit of that sort of tyranny in my own mind. So if you can, please give us, a short exercise warm up that we can use this to have the freedom of thoughts.
Okay. All right. So I want all of us, my dear viewers, and you, Margaret.
Thank you.
In the course of the last few days, have you ever had negative thoughts in the last few days?
Yes. Yes.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
We all did.
Right.
So, in the course of the last few days, pick an incident that has happened and you thought negative. It could be, it could be something personal, like I don't amount to much, nothing good happens to me, or that person did this and how could they have done that. It could be either one. Why do negative things always happen to me? Why do people, call me and ask me for random things, which happens to me all the time. So anything, right? Just pick something that you've had negative thoughts. A situation that you have had negative thoughts. Now, breathe deeply, go within, and remind yourself, I have a choice. I have a choice between thinking positive and negative. I can choose either one. And at this point, I choose to transform any negative situation, any negative thinking, into a positive one. And so pick that situation that you recently just thought about, that recently happened. And transform. So let's say your thinking was, I don't amount to much, nothing good happens to me, why do negative things happen to me? And transform that into a positive thought. Life is full of possibilities. Whatever I need will come to me. I've been taken care of for so long, and I will be taken care of today and tomorrow. choose to transform the negative thought pattern into a positive one. Again, go back to another incident that you've had negative thoughts. Someone did something negative and you started thinking negative. And remind yourself again, I have a choice. I have a choice between positive or negative. And I choose to think positive. It's their karma, it's their journey. I don't need to get involved in this. I choose to think positive and have good wishes for everyone. And you will notice that once you do this exercise a few times, catch yourself having negative and transform it into positive, that you will really have autonomy, real freedom. Not just physical freedom, but mental freedom. You will be able to explore the self and the world with your mental freedom. Om Shanti, I am peace.
Om Shanti, Shireen. Thank you. Thank you. So I have a few questions if I'd like to share with you.
This is my pleasure to.
Well, this is a tough one, I have to admit. I
It's
know.
not a warm-up.
I was going to say it was tough, like not so much a warm-up, but I mean the warm-up. You can look at it. I guess this is how I will look at it for myself to make it a warm-up. Is that I have a choice, and nobody, because nobody is inside of here, can take that from me, and so I have the freedom. So that for me is my warm-up. But as I was thinking of my particular example, when I went directly into a negative with one of my children, go figure.
You know what they say, Margaret, about having teenagers? That it's an ailment.
Yes.
Just like you have a cold.
Yes,
Teenagers.
as it's an ailment.
It's an ailment.
So I have 3 more years of my ailment, and then I will be cured. But anyway, recognizing now that their behavior does impact me, but in my warm up, that okay, I will now decide for myself to be positive, regardless of that circumstance. And then and practice that, and that will become my exercise, because the warm-up for me is just accepting and acknowledging that I do have the decision.
Right. We have to understand that the soul is generating the thought. The soul is generating negative or positive.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no need for us to react.
Right.
And most of our negative is as a reaction to something that's happening, and we don't need to do it.
That is correct. That is absolutely
I
correct.
just don't need to engage in this. Because if I do, then I am sabotaging myself.
Right.
Okay, that person did whatever, and then why am I adding to the problem?
Right, right. And that's very interesting you said that, because somebody else had asked me, just in general conversation, what fuel did you bring to the fire? And case in point was my negative response, and I didn't have to be negative, and so I too brought fuel.
Exactly.
And I didn't need to. I could have brought that water to maybe,
right.
Eliminate the fire.
Right.
And so that's an excellent, point, that I have a choice and I have the freedom to decide.
Right.
So thank you so much, Shireen.
Thanks, Margaret.
I feel empowered. Thank you.